All right, so for the live portion of the raid, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to deploy sometime after 21 when it's dark. You can do this in the daytime too. I've done this on the daytime. I've done this with all the servers selected, all the PvP servers, done this in the middle of the day. Doesn't matter, you know, but ideally to minimize the risk, we're going to want to go at night. Now, once you get to this screen, this is an important tip for the new players. Pay attention to who's in this list because it's the people that are in the lobby queuing up for the same raid, obviously, right? But what you won't see is any solo players. But if you do happen to come to this screen and you see a long list of suspicious names or a long list of high-level players, I'd recommend going and doing a scav run and trying to deploy closer to 3 to 4 in the morning when a large majority of people don't run the map. Right now, between I'd say 21 to 2, a lot of people do. But there's only one guy in here, and he's basically just sitting there for a long time. That's a risk I'm willing to take. But if you see a long list of players, it's very, very likely that there's going to be a lot of players in the map. So try to get in when the lobby list is least full as possible. All right, so here we are in a real raid. So let's look around real quick and identify where we're at. We're by some mines, and I don't see any other distinguishing features, so we're going to run away from the mines until we can tell. Okay, I see the pickup truck on my right. So we are by the outskirts. So for the first one, I think I'll go ahead and do the attachment cabin over to military camp extraction route. So let's see how this goes. So we're going to run right over towards the pickup truck. Get all our equipment ready. And at this point, I'm not going to take my SJ6 because it really isn't that necessary. It's a little bit of wasted money because we don't have to cross the open death field on the way to USEC camp. But up to you. If you have low stamina, like I said, time is critical. And you may want to use 1 or 2 SJ6s even to try to match the same kind of tempo that I can match with my high level stats. Alright, so once we get on the approach to the attachment cabin, we're going to want to make sure that we have our stamina up during the approach. So we're going to use the berms as cover as we approach. Get it up a little. We're going to look right to see if we can get any intel on the people that spawn across the water. Once we reach this dead man's place location here on the right, that dock marks, we're going to cut in. This hill also signifies when we can cut in. There's the wood logs that signify attachment cabin. And we're going to try to hit it hard and fast. Always assume there's going to be people at any destination you get to, because the spawns can be wonky sometimes. And that's just a good mindset to have regardless. So I come over here, and I look for good ammos. There's BT and SMB, those are decent. Go in here. Loot this. Loot that. And then I try to gamma any high value things that I can get. And I'm going to skip this box because I really want to make good time over to the military camp. So once again, we're going to head to the water. I think I'll take a stamina break here. Sturman is irrelevant to that crew. The ammo is always good there regardless. At least that's what I found in like 900 raids. Sturman doesn't influence... spawns don't influence quality of loot, in my experience. Alright, pushing through, we're going to reach the rock here. And take another stamina break while looking for anyone pushing towards us. You want to be careful not to expose yourself too much. That's why I have these hills on my side in case someone is trying to thermal or hunt the boss here with sniping. As well as being out of view of any of the boss mobs themselves or any scavs. Alright, now we push along this. If you have low strength and endurance, you're definitely going to want to take stamina breaks, but I can go pretty far on one bar. We'll reach this rock, and because I'm halfway, I'm going to take another break. Watch my back. Military camp is commonly contested, so be ready for a fight when you reach it. Very dangerous location. That's why we're trying to get there fast as possible. All right, we've reached this location. We're going to get our stand back ready for the fight. While we look around a little bit, get low, minimize angles. Try to stay on the grass so we don't hit gravel much as possible. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut in right here and get up along the wall and try to listen for a little bit to detect anyone inside. Okay, we have a scav inside, which signifies to me that no one has reached the looting destination yet, so we're going to push in hard and fast and try to get in before they arrive. Now, instead of immediately eliminating the scav, what we're going to try to do is we're going to use him as an alarm system, and we're going to try to get the looting done while avoiding aggro with him as much as possible. Basically, we want to grab everything that has a 10,000 ruble or more value. ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. Every second we spend here is a second that we're in danger. Sometimes I even skip looting these bags and stuff because they kind of slow me down. I'll show you an example of that, and then you guys can choose if you loot them or not on your own time. But I'll show you guys how much loot we can grab even without confronting the scavs. We will eventually have to confront them. Oh, like now. Alright, in here is usually some really good loot. Sometimes well, a lot of times I find golden star in there. Ammo can spawn there. What was that? Whenever you're, oh, that's a Golnik. Whenever you're out in the open like this, try to keep moving erratically because people will set up along the edges of the camp and snipe in on you. Okay, so these containers are closed. Unlikely enemies are here. Moonshine can spawn here. I always check that. Duffel bags can be good to check as well. A lot of people will push in from the direction I'm looking, so I try to remain covert so they can't see me through a scope as I'm here. Now that I'm getting ready to leave, I'm going to just grab almost everything. Come through here, grab stuff like this. Ophthalmoscope. Okay, so that's it. Now we're going to move to the extraction. The whole run has taken us 7 minutes. Bridge car extraction has also been taken from the person that spawned over by it. Now, instead of pushing left, because it's so early in the raid, I'm actually going to push down this way, because it's a very high chance someone could be pushing military camp from the opposite direction that I'm heading, and it's a very unlikely chance that anyone is still hanging over here by the spawns, but this route does expose me behind me to any possible snipers. But that's, again, why we're running this at night, because it's very hard to snipe at night, and we also have the rain as a factor, which is protecting us from long-range engagements. So I'm going to get my stamina up here before I go over to RUAF to check if it's open or not. It is open. Alright, so the whole run took about 8 minutes or so, and 15, I'd say that run was about 300 to 500,000 rubles. So not too bad, and pretty typical 8-minute run. Alright, now let's see if we get a different spawn for a different run. Alright, so here we've actually spawned in the best spawn possible, which is right by the scab town, and this is why we bring rubles, because we can actually loot this within 7 to 10 minutes and get out right away, ideally. And we just gotta loot faster than the guy that's pushing here right now can run. But I actually didn't cover this in the route overview, so secret little route bonus for you guys that are watching the whole thing. Oh my god. Every second causes me anxiety because of the amount of danger that we're in. I cannot stress enough the immense amount of danger that we're in. So we're going to grab literally everything that we can. If you guys see how fast I'm trying to loot stuff, you guys might have an inkling of exactly how much danger I think I am. I'd say danger levels are about 8 out of 10, and the only reason they're not 9 or 10 out of 10 is because we're here at night. So, we come over here, look for sugar on the table. There's an MRE there, but that's not really worth our life. Over here. Grab it! Grab it! Look for a loot dot. When you look under the bed, see if there's anything there. Look in there. Protect loot. I'll even loot this. Now we're going to want to close that door at least so that we can cover our tracks a little bit. And if you have to organize loot, try to organize loot while you're already looting. Ideally, we can get across the street very quickly. Before the person gets set up on the sniper positions we covered earlier. So we're making good time so far. There's a scab right there. So because we're getting a little bit bad spawns, to be real with you, we're just gonna grab everything we can. And we just want to fill up. It doesn't really matter what you grab because each time we survive is profit. I'm not even gonna loot that grenade box to try to minimize the risk a little bit, or that one, because we still have to go to the next house, and by the time we get there we're going to be a little bit of risk of the person having reached this location. Now, one of the reasons we're hurrying so fast is because our efficiency is going to minimize the amount of risk we are exposed to from other players if they are not moving as efficiently as we are, which is going to be the majority of people that are your competition on this map. Only the best are going to be able to basically match our speeds here if we do it properly. So instead of running straight to the other house, I'm going to loop around the side to try to minimize the chance that the person on the sniper locations can see me. And you also want to try to do this fast enough that the person that's pushing right now from the abandoned village, that you beat them to the car extraction before they arrive at the village. There's stuff that can spawn under these beds, alright? And that's that. So it's only been a little bit, but because of the amount of stuff that we picked up and the scav that we killed, it's likely that we've gained enough experience to extract. So let's test that theory, even though it's only been 4 minutes. So right here, I want to go a little bit slower and I want to look around for anyone pushing along left to right up ahead from the abandoned village. We'll cut across. Come over here, hold position, check objective timer. Now, I've got this down to a science, an exact science of when to extract. So I'm going to try to time it so that I get there right as it's leaving to minimize the chance of getting sniped. Because as soon as you activate it, it goes green not only for you, but for everyone else. So people usually will try to intercept you at this point if they are within range to do so. All right, so 6 seconds, I get ready. 5, 4, 3, and if you're here, keep moving around. And that's that. So let's see if we survived. And we did. So because of the scab that we killed and the amount of looting experience we got from picking up so much stuff, we were able to get enough experience that we did the whole run for roughly, I'd say we got 2 or 3 sugars. That's 100k each, plus the other stuff. I'd say that was a 300 or 400,000 ruble runs in 5 minutes. All right, so we spawned by UN roadblock, and now we're going to do the push directly to military camp attachment cabinet over to outskirts and out. So we rush along here. This is a good point to get your stamina back and to prepare for the fight that you're probably going to get into in military camp. Now, remember, people can spawn over by RUAF or over by the military camp itself, even though you spawn by UN roadblock. So the chance that someone's in the military camp, I'd say, is probably about 50%, because they would usually head right there right away. Now, what I like to do, I like to come over here, and assuming that we had a thermal or that the weather was better, you can actually snipe into the camp from here. But we can't, so I'm going to move into the tree line. I'm going to get a little more concealment, get my stamina up, and then try to gain audio information of enemy presence in the camp. I wanted to check that my laser was on without activating the flashlight by inspecting my weapon. So, approaching the camp late, there's really no good approach except to try to keep covering between you and it while listening. You don't want to move too slow though, and you don't want to go through there because of the risk of someone running up on you. So we heard a scav, once again, a good sign. We're going to push in aggressively. And just like before, we're going to keep him alive a bit until we are forced to execute him. When you do have to kill the scavs, attempt to kill them with a headshot, which will reduce your overall time in the raid. If you have to extract right away, it'll give you a little bit more experience. It's unfortunate that he was able to shoot, because that kind of might have blown our cover a little bit, but it is what it is. It's already happened. And there should be another one here somewhere we're going to want to be conscious of. Because we heard him earlier. This shelf usually has high value meds like that, so I try to check it before I double back to the crate that we passed. This is about the timing when someone's going to run up on the camp if they're rushing it. It's just for forewarning. Alright, so there is obviously more loot here, but to minimize the risk of being run up on, we're going to start moving out right away. We're basically 75% full anyways, so no need to be greedy, in my opinion. Before we move, we don't want to get our stamina. Okay, so we hear some shooting over there by the sawmill, but it sounds like a low caliber pistol, so we're not going to sweat it too much and we're going to stick to our route plan. The only other way we could adjust this route would be doubling back the other way back towards our spawn and then taking bridge car extraction instead, because otherwise we would have a very long walk ahead of us, but I'm going to take the risk here. Move to the stamina regen spot and take another painkiller. Since we're so close to the enemy, I'm going to use a morphine instead of ibuprofen to lower the amount of time that I'm vulnerable. Ooh, I don't know what to choose. We're going to try to move as close to the water as possible so that our audio signal is as far away from possible enemies up on the lumber mill as possible. That could also potentially be a good time to use your SJ6 if you have it on you. Get our stamina up again in cover. Now this is the most dangerous portion of the route, and I'd recommend skipping attachment cabin if you have super valuable stuff on you, but I don't really, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to contest it. Possibly where we heard the shooting at even, but it sounded a bit closer than this. Okay. Oh my god. It's better. Alright, so we're not going to loot the box or anything because we are getting critically close to danger. So I'm going to retreat over here and use this spot as a rest spot for stamina. We definitely want to have stamina up as high as possible before we run over to outskirts, because sometimes people camp outskirts and it's much less cover over there and much more open, so you want to be able to maneuver. Use the berm for cover. We have really good cover here, so I'm going to walk a bit to regain my stamina, but keep moving. Careful not to go too far to the left. Avoid the mines. And there we go, a 10-minute raid with Not as much profit as before, but a survive is a survive. And whatever you may find could differ greatly uh, depending on your luck. So overall a win. All right, so it's reached to 5 to 6 in the morning in Tarkov time, in the raid timer. So we're going to be in the daytime. We didn't bring night vision, but regardless, the strength and safety of our route is based mainly on the fact that we do it quickly and efficiently and not on the lack of players. So we got lucky. We spawned once again by the scab town. So we're going to go hit it quick and get out in ideally 7 to 10 minutes like before. Being the closest spawn to here, we're once again not going to worry in the beginning stages about safety, but we're going to focus on speed and efficiency. I cannot stress that enough. I'm going to keep repeating it over and over again because it's literally the most important thing of this whole route. I'm picking up food because the goal is to get as much loot as possible in a short amount of time and not to be picky about maximizing rubles. You're going to maximize rubles when you survive 20 times in a row and your stash starts filling up of everything. We'll even do this time. Now that it's closer to daytime, we're in a considerable amount more risk. I have a lot of painkillers, so we're going to gamma that. I don't know why I grabbed the analgen, but we're going to fix that later, not right now. Oh my god! So someone hit mines. LOL. But that tells us that there are people here with us, as usual, so even more reason to be very, very cautious. Gonna skip over that wrench just because I'm not gonna take the time for some of these lower value items sometimes. Sometimes I skip them just to maximize the speed. But I have a lot of rubles, so that is your own personal choice. We're gonna go to a zigzag pattern here while looking at the hill to try to minimize the chance that someone can snipe us. Okay, we have another scav here. That's cool because that'll be our extraction XP once we shoot him in the face. This hand drill I picked up because it's worth quite a bit and easy to drop if I need more space, depending on how much loot we get. Alright, scav location confirmed. Didn't shoot him in the face, but doesn't matter. The idea is to search one side of the village as soon as possible so that you can cross the road before they have time to set up like we're doing now. Hopefully there's no one there. I like to come over here and prep my entry to these rooms by opening all the doors so that I don't have to stand still by the time the guy gets here. Alright, now we pushed out there, so we pushed the water, pushed the car extraction, activated. It's been 5 minutes, we've killed 2 scavs and looted, so we should be good to extract. So 5 minute run, 20, 20, 20 to 36. I'd say 300K, 5 minutes. Get ready to move at 6. All right, so as you can see, there's some sweaty, juicy boys in the lobby. So what I've done is I've transferred over to my more budget kit so we can continue to run night raids and not have to stop the farm. But if we do get sniped by one of these juicy boys, we lose less because we are running balls to the wall and taking great risk every time we raid by not really being careful. One thing I also tend to do when I run budget kits. Why is this magazine only 29? Oh, because it's 25. Anyway, so one thing I tend to do is I run leg meta ammo because our opponents are primarily scavs. And by doing so, it can help if you die by costing less because leg rounds are typically cheaper. But one thing we are going to do is switch over to a flashlight capable attachment because when you fight with night vision, or at night in general, you don't want to have your night vision on in PvP because people with flashlights will blind you. So by taking a flashlight, you're still capable of seeing in a nighttime conflict. And if you don't, you're kind of fucked. All right. Queuing took a while and the thick boys disappeared from the queue, so maybe we won't run into them, but luckily we spawned somewhere else so I can show you guys a different route. So we're either by USEC, and we are by USEC, I can tell because that hill's straight ahead of us, and I don't see the pickup truck. So we're going to start the USEC route that you would also do if you chose to go towards USEC from the outskirts spawn. And we're going to show you guys a little bit of that, hopefully. So remember, we got to double back in between the two mines on our left and right until we get in between the hills. And then we're going to want to cut up to USEC. Once we reach the rock kind of side of the hill here that we know is free of landmines. And then I know I said to push the other side of the camp, but right here is a valuable loot spawn or a valuable medical spawn. Ophthalmoscope can spawn there, so I like to check that because then you can gamma it, and even if you die, you made a little bit of profit, or you know, you added your wallet. So right here, I'm going to stop in a stupid place and use a painkiller because we could get in a fight any second over here at this other side of the map, or other side of the camp, rather. I usually skip all the boxes to maximize efficiency. There's plenty of loot without hitting the boxes, trust me. Oh, with the exception being this crate, because of the potential profits in a crate like this, you can get fuel and stuff. Not really worth skipping. Oh my god. It's very important to get this half of the camp done ASAP before outskirts arrives. Oh my god, it was right there. I'm so dumb. But at least we didn't die on the other side of the map, or the other side of the camp. And at least if I had died, I wouldn't have known about it, and therefore I would be less mad. But anyways, now we're going to push out of the USEC camp. We completed that whole looting process in about 3 minutes. And now we're going to push towards the stash with the big rock. Careful, sometimes there's people here looting it. We're just going to bypass the stash this time, and we're going to head over to the scav bunker. Scavs. Pretty common thing to counter when you get to this stage is a scav presence. So, since we're wearing the budget kit, we don't have a helmet. We definitely do not want to get headshot by these guys. I like to try to take them out because otherwise they sometimes push down into the bunker while you're in there. And I just hit him with like 4 rip rounds. He's probably going to bleed out by the time I'm done down here. So I'm going to stay on task. Underneath these beds and on top of these beds can spawn valuables like bitcoins and other such things like gold chains, so it's always worth a check, for example. There it is. There will be times when you have to combat the scavs, and that is why a suppressor is ideal for this run. There's a very high chance that someone is going to be in the village now at this stage of the push because people can spawn right by it or by scav town and start pushing, so make sure you're prepped for combat with being on painkillers and stuff like that. Checking the extraction to see if anyone's taking bridge car yet. US dollars are actually pretty valuable at this time with the current exchange rate going on. Check the boat for valuables. Check inside the house and the bushes in the house for bitcoins. Careful at this part for cultists. If you do see a cultist, try to run away instead of shooting them, if possible. They commonly try to stab you first, so if you run away, you're usually alright. Carrying an antidote with you can be wise as well. I'm going to go through the full looting process of this run, just to show you guys the spots of where everything's at. But like I said, I would typically skip a lot of these houses, but we'll go through it this time. Valuables, like where this cat is, can spawn inside this tent in both corners, including bitcoins. And the reason we want to check inside this house despite the risk of cultists is due to the fact that valuables can spawn inside of these bushes. As we can already see, there's a lion. Well, we'll just do that. Alrighty, what is that? Nothing. Okay. So we're gonna do this, and then I think we're gonna prep just to extract. We already have nearly 1,000,000 rubles of loot on us. And I want to try to hit the bridge car extraction before someone else does. If you don't care so much about survival, you could loot the scav town before you take the bridge car extraction. But because we took so long to get over there, and because we spawned slightly far away compared to the guy that spawns right there, you run a large risk of being run up on from people over at military camp doing the full rotation, or people going from outskirts and catching up to you. A little risky running out of stamina in the middle of the road, but, you know, I'm actually going to take an SJ6 at this time as well because of the amount of loot on me. I'm going to try to hedge my bets. Make sure your equipment's good. So because the extraction isn't green, no one has activated it yet. So that gives us a little bit of information that we are not pushing directly at to someone directly at the car yet. And we're going to want to keep our eye closely on that as we do this push and prepare to activate it ourselves. I just realized to check how many rubles I have on me, and I have enough, thank God. That's why we bring 99,000 and not like the exact amount. I'm not on painkillers, so I'm going to take one really quick. Now, when I come up here, as I go to the car, what you can do is also glance down the road and see if you see any scavs. I couldn't see any scavs, and I'm already full of loot. So instead of being greedy, I'm going to go ahead and pay it. But one option would be to see and identify scav locations on the road and then move into loot if you do, because once again, that is a good sign. But I really only have very limited space, and risking everything just to check out a few houses that might not have any loot, not recommended.